So, full disclosure, I didn't really expect to be making weekly episodic reviews of the Loki series because, to be quite honest with you, while doing it for WandaVision was really fun, I didn't have nearly as much fun with Falcon and the Winter Soldier just because, not that I didn't enjoy the series, but because there wasn't a lot to talk about from episode to episode. And this summer, I want to bring you guys all sorts of different kinds of videos, so I thought maybe I'll just invest that time into making other videos that will come out later down the line. However, I saw the first episode of Loki, and I loved it. Not only did I love it, but I also think it could lend itself very nicely to a weekly review and discussion series. And what I realized, honestly, after watching the pilot is that I miss just talking to you guys about WandaVision theories and what's going to happen in the next episode, and I really want to do that about Loki. And so, I think I'm going to do my best to post reviews and breakdowns of Loki every single week and talk about the series as it goes along. Now, I can't promise that I'm going to do that for every single series, and I'm just trying to find the right balance because I think shows like Hawkeye, Miss Marvel, She-Hulk that are going to be more geared towards the sitcom, weekly serial episodes, I think I don't need to do weekly breakdowns of them and I can just do a whole series review at the end. Alright, all that being said, this is a spoiler review of Loki episode 1. So if you have not seen the episode, save this video to watch later, come back and see it and discuss it with us after you've seen the episode. Also, please consider joining the Access Blockbusters crew. We are 550 some strong. And we would love to have you in the comment section talking about all things Marvel, Star Wars, DC, whatever it is in the world of blockbusters. Now let's talk some Loki. Now I don't want to get too hyperbolic right off the bat, but here's what I thought immediately after I finished the first episode. And I don't think this about a lot of Marvel properties after the first 15 minutes or so of the movies and after the first episode of the two shows. But after this first episode of Loki, I sat back and went, this has the potential to be top 5 MCU. And here's why. If the show maintains this current pace, then I think it has the potential to be top 5 because it has a little bit of everything, and it does everything extremely well. It has humor. It is funny. Yes, you can say, okay, MCU, haha, too many jokes, too many cliches, too many quips, but it is still funny. And I do think that the humor in Loki is actually a little bit more subtle and clever, and I really do enjoy it. Again, this is being written by the guy, Michael Waldron, who worked on Rick and Morty, and you can just really feel the snappy energy to it. It has, I was taken aback by this, it has philosophy, it has existential questions. I thought the discussion of free will versus predetermination was actually fascinating. And I do think that this theme of identity is going to play a big role in the next 5 episodes, and I'm just so excited to see how they explore this in the context of the character of Loki. It also has emotion. I was not expecting that from episode 1. Now, I went on Twitter right after the episode was over, and a lot of people were like, I was crying when Loki was seeing his future. Me personally, I wasn't necessarily in tears, but I did feel moved, and I felt for this character in a way that I had never felt for him before, even in Ragnarok when he was making a turn for the good, and even in Infinity War when he sacrificed himself. This episode managed to make this character feel relatable for the first time. And I think maybe most importantly of all, for me at least, is it is in the right genre for me. Because if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know one of my favorite genres, if not my favorite genre of all time, is mysteries. I love mysteries. You give me Sherlock, you give me a WandaVision, you give me Knives Out. I love it all. And this show is going to be a straight up mystery, it looks like. Loki traveling through time with Mobius and trying to figure out where this extra variant is coming from, this Loki variant. It just looks like it's going to be such an intriguing kind of tone. Put all that together in the first 45 minutes of the show. I'm sold. Now granted, I think that WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier also had great openings. Not nearly as strong as this, mind you. I think the first couple episodes of WandaVision and the first episode of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, not nearly as strong as this. But they kept on chugging and they got stronger and stronger. But they both couldn't stick the landing, in my eyes. Loki has to stick the landing in order to crack that top 5. Because that top 5, for those of you who don't know, includes the likes of Infinity War, Homecoming, Far From Home, Endgame. It's that caliber of movie. But Loki is well on its way. Now, I think based on the trailers, we could have all guessed the opening scenes of Loki, right? He gets the Tesseract, he escapes Avengers Endgame, he heads to the desert, TVA gets him, all that sort of stuff. It was great. But then as we move through the TVA, and by the way, Owen Wilson as Agent Mobius was fantastic. I mean, Tom Hiddleston we knew was going to be fantastic, and he absolutely kills it in this first episode. But him and Agent Mobius together, I know a ton of people said this on Twitter, but their chemistry, I completely agree, is just so good. And Owen Wilson fits so natural, and he's such a good foil to Tom Hiddleston because he is just so sincere and so genuine and is just seeming to to want to get the best out of this god of mischief. It works so well, that dynamic. But also, before we get to that, let's talk about that Miss Minutes exposition dump, because I think that exposition dump is going to be the key to Phase 4. I really do. I mean, if you think back to the Infinity Saga, you had films in Phase 1 that were really essential to the rest of the MCU moving forward. For example, Captain America, the First Avenger, with the Tesseract and with Hydra. I think that while WandaVision is going to be very important, and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I'm not so sure is going to be as important, but I think Loki is one of the first shows and first properties in the MCU that are really, really going to shape and take the narrative forward of Phase 4, 5, and maybe 6. Because Miss Minutes talks about a multiversal war. Now, a lot of people have been speculating that maybe there's something going on with the TV and they're not explaining everything entirely truthfully. So for now, maybe we take this with a grain of salt. But Miss Minutes describes there being one specific timeline. And if that timeline breaks, then it's going to break out into the multiverse. And this is really interesting because I think I, along with a lot of other people, had assumed that the multiverse kind of already existed and Doctor Strange had to tap into it, and the TVA was sort of monitoring how these timelines just didn't intersect. But the TVA is saying there is only one specific timeline that they are trying to guard against from breaking apart into what they call a multiversal war, and they're trying to prevent madness. Hint, hint, wink, wink. I mean, if that doesn't scream setup for Spider-Man No Way Home and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, I really don't know what does. And then we moved to the TVA, and a lot of people were also saying on Twitter, hey, the Infinity Stones, there's just a bunch in a drawer. Does that mean Natasha died for nothing? I don't think so necessarily. I think that was really just meant to put everything into perspective for Loki of, oh, I am so much smaller than I actually thought I was. Like, my ambitions are nothing compared to the TVA. Like, I don't think it was just that the Avengers had to go to the TVA and just ask for Infinity Stones. I don't think they could have done that. I think that was out of the realm of possibility. I think that the Avengers and their timeline were meant to go the way that it was. So everyone's saying Natasha died for nothing. No, she didn't. I don't think that's what the show is trying to say. And of course, one of the most beautiful scenes in this episode is Loki reliving, or I guess living, his future vicariously through that projector. And yeah, I just wasn't expecting a scene like that to be in this kind of show. I mean, I was expecting the show just to be more entertaining and fun and quirky, but the emotion, I'll take it because it was fantastically done. And for those of us who have been paying attention to the rumor mill, I think we all sort of figured, yeah, the villain, or at least one of the antagonists of the show, is going to be a Loki variant. Sure enough, Mobius says, we're looking for you. That's why we need you. And it makes sense. Like, there are all these sorts of people just coming in through the TVA, and you're sort of wondering, well, okay, Loki is a god, sure, but why do you pick this random guy to go after this random villain? Well, it's because they're both Loki, and I think that makes perfect sense. And that's where this episode ends, and I think as far as pilots go, especially based on the last two, because the last two pilots for WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier were also very strong, but as far as MCU pilots go, and just even pilots in general, or even just TV episodes of sci-fi, fantasy, fiction, this is up there, right? Towards the end of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I was not necessarily anticipating every single next episode because there wasn't as much drawing me back. And like I said, Falcon and the Winter Soldier is more of a show that you want to watch all at once. This is not. This is a show where I cannot wait for episode 2. I am just dying to see what happens next, and I am absolutely hooked. If they can keep this up, oh man, we are going to have a contender for the top 5. So those are my quick thoughts on the first episode of Loki. What did you think? Let me know in the comments down below. And again, if you want to join the Access Blockbusters crew, make sure to subscribe, give this video a like, join the discussion down below in the comments. And if you want to check out some more videos, check out the videos on the screen right now. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.